Greene Street Joinery and the American Craftsman podcast are proud to partner with Montana Brand Tools. Montana Brand Tools are manufactured by Rocky Mountain Twist in Montana, USA. With numerous patents dating back to the invention of the hex shank system by our founders, we strive to produce accessories that add precision, flexibility, and efficiency to your toolkit. In addition to woodworking tools, we produce many high-quality cutting tools that are used by the aerospace, medical, automotive, and industrial markets. Our end product has a fit and finish that is beyond comparison. Montana Brand Tools are guaranteed for life to be free of defects in material and workmanship because we build these tools with pride and determination. For 10% off your order, visit montanabrandtools.com and use the coupon code American Craftsman.
Season 2, Episode 11. The origins of Pennsylvania Dutch furniture.
Get my little thing open back up here. There we go. We're locked and loaded.
Oh, yeah.
Don't forget, Secret Santa 2021. I just extended the sign-ups until, what was it, December 10th? And I changed the date from Christmas Day to New Year's Day because, really, it don't matter.
No.
I figured I'd draw it out a week.
It's the holiday.
Yeah. This, 12/11. You got till the 11th of December to sign up. So this will be coming out, I don't know, something around that time. This will be coming out on the 3rd. So you have a week after that. So sign up. Get involved.
All right. So here we go. I'm going to start getting into the furniture that primarily the Amish. I mean, we call them Pennsylvania Dutch. That's sort of this overarching term. All the people that came from the Rhine River Valley.
Yep.
But the Amish kind of became the predominant furniture makers as far as we can see today. Like we refer to them as the Amish today, don't we?
Yeah, and I think they probably getting all lumped together.
Yeah.
At some point.
Mennonites and the Quakers.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even think of Quakers anymore, but like I said in the last episode, when I think Mennonites, I thought that they were Amish anyway.
Yeah, well, they're definitely linked. I mean, the Amish sprung from the Mennonites. Simon Menno.
Mennonite.
So not long after arriving in America, the Amish began establishing their quintessential self-sufficient way of life through farming and woodworking. So it's natural that they become furniture makers. I mean, they're all carpenters and farmers.
Right.
The principles of simplicity extended to all aspects of Amish life, and these pursuits were no different. I couldn't find any written information as to the reasons why, but the Amish shun the use of mechanical tools for the most part, and were opting to work by hand. And this is, back in the day. Of course, nowadays they got their mini factories.
Oh, yeah.
I guess I would, what would have been cool was to be able to go out there and sort of like interview some
Amishes.
Yeah. Because, we're just taking this. I mean, a lot of it was written by people who were related to, or whether that by blood or by geography, the Amish, or at least the articles outside of like the, the scholarly writings. But it would have been interesting to say, why don't why do you guys opt to use hand tools instead of?
Those are the devil's tools.
Probably. I mean, there's probably quite a bit of truth in that. So the insistence,
we got time. We can go out there.
Yeah.
I was hoping to take a trip out to Pennsylvania.
Yeah, that's true. Pick up that anvil.
Yeah.
Their insistence on constructing by hand would later serve to propel the popularity of Amish-made furniture as a society, our society, mainstream society, has experienced several different phases of backlash to ornate, complex furnishings, punctuated, of course, by the arts and crafts of the 1920s and another in the late 20th century, which is probably mid-century modern. So
it's funny how, in this 12 periods of furniture, like they refer to the Pennsylvania Dutch as a period and the dates being, but really the popularity of the furniture wasn't seen until later because it didn't leave the community at that time in the 1800s. It was localized there, and then like you're saying, it wasn't until the 19 teens that it started to get out there into the public canon.
Yeah, it's sort of like going back and forth over this 200-year span almost, and I kept getting confused as I was trying to compile this information. What's actually happening now? Right. What happened then? Because so many of their habits and ways are, the same. And so it was really, it was pretty interesting. So the Amish, they also felt really and feel really strongly about cultivating a sense of community and engaging the youth in manual labor. So
good for the soul.
Yeah, exactly. They send the kids to school, usually not all Amish, but many only till the 8th grade. They think that's enough, and then it's time to get into the wood shop and farm full time.
Well,
they can contribute to the family's income at that point in time, and learn the ways. So it sort of promotes their and stabilizes their way of life. That's the whole thing.
Yeah, there's a lot of Amish sawyers too.
Yeah.
So they're cutting the wood and working the wood.
Now, the techniques utilized by the Amish, and we spoke of this last week, or really just a couple hours ago, have become staples of quality in furniture making and the buy it for life movement. It's these traditional values that they espouse that we do too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you see sort of all of these periods, everything was being built that way. And, we'll see as we get into these later ones, maybe there's a turning point where the engineered obsolescence or just the throwaway sort of culture comes in.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll have, an episode as we get into the arts and crafts movement, because that was basically the, the rebuttal to manufacturing.
Yeah, when the Industrial Revolution hits and, cheap manufacturing becomes a thing.
Yeah, so, and all these techniques, as we know, they take time to master. And you may never master them, but you continually grow and improve. Imagine if we had been taught from the time we were in 8th and 9th grade how to do what we're doing now.
Yeah.
How much further along we'd be. We're kind of, learning from a little bit from others, a little bit from YouTube videos, a lot of from trial and error.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't build a cabinet until, and this is like a site-built cabinet, probably until 2014.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I built my first kitchen in the house as an experiment, just to see if I could possibly do it, and I mean, it's knock on wood, it's still standing, but it's no marvel.
It's nice, though.
It's funny because, I basically did it by reading books, and whatever influenced me the most at the moment is in my kitchen.
Yeah.
So it's definitely of its time and place. But it would have been cool to have that sort of education.
Yeah.
So, they're learning to cut dovetails and mortise and tenons and all this other stuff from the time they can probably hold a saw and, cut to a line. The conservative nature also of the Pennsylvania Dutch life, it tends to preserve the old world tastes and traditions. So the styles they develop in the 1700s, they don't really vary too much. They keep bringing that same stuff forward.
Yeah, I mean, the Amish are pretty unchanged.
Mm-hmm. And just because there's some kind of new fad or new style in the big city like Philadelphia, they don't jump on that.
Mm-hmm.
They pretty much stick to their guns. I guess you can't use that phrase for the Amish because they're pacifists.
They definitely have guns, though.
Yeah, that's right. All right. So I wrote this down. Unlike those pieces made in urban areas, Pennsylvania rural furniture displayed sturdy skills of the joiner and turner. I guess I guess I wrote that down because we're starting to see there is this divergence that you kind of alluded to.
Yeah, we saw in the Queen Anne some of the stuff that was coming out of Pennsylvania, and it was like high end furniture.
Mm-hmm.
All those chairs and stuff.
Yeah. So the Pennsylvania Dutch furniture, it develops early and stays the course. Doesn't really get out of the community for almost 200 years.
Wow.
And it's pretty utilitarian. I did note that, and I mentioned this last time, it was a custom to have a handsome piece of furniture made for a special occasion, such as a wedding anniversary. But you'd have to be kind of prosperous to do something like that for your wife or your daughter generally. They didn't adopt quickly any of the new fads or fashions, and they stood with their old designs. So Amish furniture styles. Let's see what I got here. Oh, we're going to talk about the Soap Hollow School and the Jonestown, or I've seen it Johnstown as well.
Jonestown.
Yeah, Jonestown made me think of...
Don't drink the Kool-Aid.
Yeah, that. And Johnstown, we know Johnstown, Pennsylvania, the Johnstown flood, so...
No, I don't know about that.
Oh, you don't know about that?
No. I'm not privy to the Johnstown flood.
Oh, okay. I used to think it was like folktale, but apparently it was some real incident in history.
You want to tell the people about it?
Well, I don't really know that much about it, but
but what was it?
It was a natural occurrence, a flood,
okay.
like a devastating flood in Johnstown, PA. And it's referenced in like song and things like that.
Okay.
So that's how I learned of it. All right. This is a little bit of a recap here. Because Amish beliefs prevent the use of electricity, many woodworking tools in Amish shops are powered by hydraulic and pneumatic power run on diesel compressors. That's more or less, that's modern day. So I don't know how that got in there.
That's an Amish, we call it an Amish workaround.
Yeah. Most communities, they permit some technology, and allowances can be made in the case of woodworking, as the craft often supports multiple families within the community. So there you go. That's the Amish workaround.
They're like, well, if you're doing it to support your family.
Yeah.
Little devil, they ain't going to hurt you.
Amish woodworkers pride themselves in their work and view their products as both pieces of art and furnishings to be used and lived in for generations. We knew that. All right. folk art. I wanted to touch on exactly, maybe not exactly, but a little bit what folk art is.
Art done by folks.
Yeah. Well, what is folk art? Handmade, unique, one of a kind, definitely not mass produced.
Some you find on Etsy.
Well, I mean, up to this point, that's true. Folk art, the community has something, usually a great deal, to say about what passes for acceptable folk art. And it's recognizable within the framework of the community. Here's something that's interesting, too. The artists don't necessarily recognize themselves as an artist.
It's just like some crazy person who just slapped a bunch of stuff together.
Well, this is another thing. And again, I'm not saying that this is the be-all, end-all definition of folk art, but the art should have been originally utilitarian, created to serve a function.
Yeah.
Not like, let's say like a statue or something like a lawn art, but some of those things were like windmills and things like that. When you think about that sort of yard ornament, so as a way of showing thanks for arriving safely on new shores, the Amish and Mennonites began decorating. They did hand-carved furniture, even tombstones.
Wow.
That's sort of the basis for those stars that they have on their barns, which we call hex signs.
That's what a hex sign is.
Yeah. They have here, they even put designs and religious symbolism into their waffle irons.
I didn't know that the Pennsylvania Dutch were known for their waffles.
No, they're big wafflers. We'll learn about that later.
Are they Dutch waffles? Not Belgian?
The hex sign.
A Stroop waffle?
Yeah, that's why you brought that up. Yeah, the hex sign. Note the term hex sign was not used until the 20th century. Now, if we look at it, it's got a lot of, I picked that one because it's got a lot of the real classic images of the little birds, the hearts. Tulips are another one that's really big.
Tulips were huge in early America.
The name hex, it doesn't really go with that, does it?
Yeah, it's like you're gonna get like a curse put on you.
Right. It's a really pleasant, pretty kind of design.
Yeah, this is what you think of when you think of Amish, like Pennsylvania Dutch. At least for me.
Yeah, and apparently this is something that the Swedish and the German settlers brought with them. That these designs to commemorate special life events. And they enjoyed all the, decorating everything. And this is what comes to be an essential part of the design work on the Amish, Pennsylvania Dutch furniture. We are familiar with it to a certain degree, but for folks that aren't, that's one of the cornerstones.
Yeah, like imagine a brand of, like, there's that birch beer. I don't know what the brand, you know what I'm talking about, the red label. Like, you could see this, and they have something like this on there.
They look to nature for the design influences, hence the birds, the flowers, things like that. They would put designs like this on their birth certificates, marriage certificates, plates, utensils, and
for being plain Jane, they're getting awfully decorated.
Right. And who else did we talk about? It's been like a month now, but weren't we talking about the Puritans in the same way? Yeah, everybody can kind of get pigeonholed.
Yeah.
It's easy for outsiders like ourselves to categorize folks. So they put these things on everything, and of course the furniture. They painted these designs on doors, walls in their home. And as far as the hex signs on the barn, they used to just paint them right on the sides of the barn. And then gradually they started painting them onto the wooden discs and mounting them. They're big, what's the word when you go and you get something on a trip and bring it home?
Souvenir?
Yeah, they're big souvenir items for people.
Get one for the side of the shop.
Yeah, traveling out there. That would be fun. Yeah,
Built by the Amish.
Yeah. So
those
the
Amishes had machines.
Yeah. The workaround.
They were
Amish.
posing as Amish.
Yeah. Well, the Amish built the shop.
That's what I'm saying. They had machines, didn't they?
That's funny. I forgot all about that.
Yeah, you should have told them to bring a hex sign.
Yeah. So they started. I don't know if I have it in here. I can't remember because I wrote this a couple of weeks ago. We'll see. The 6-pointed star is a big thing with these hex signs.
Is that a pentagram?
Yeah, it is.
Or no, that'd be a hexagram.
Oh, well, and
pentagram would be 5.
We're thinking that maybe since the German word for 6 is sex, SECHS, the hex sign could also come from that. Again, like the Pennsylvania Dutch, Deutsch, hex, sex, and this was a good one, and I saw this a couple of times. The German word that means, or words that mean witch's foot, is hexafu.
What the hell does witch's foot have to do with that?
I don't know. I don't know, but I saw it a couple of times. The other thing that I found.
That's like one person said that once, and now it's just on every website about it.
Yeah, that's one danger of like doing research on the internet, is that I found so many reprinted passages.
Yeah.
And
I found the same thing when I was doing the Nicholas Disborough stuff. It was like every website that mentioned him had verbatim the same.
Right. They just cut and paste, and they weren't giving credit. There weren't footnotes or anything like that. So the combination of folk magic and symbolism has a strong influence on hex signs, circles, stars, geometric designs, and they symbolize divinity and the circle of life. And we're talking about the hex signs because these are going to be things that are incorporated into the design on furniture.
Yep. Yeah, I think of like a blanket chest with the heart cut into the thing with the.
Yeah, and of course the more conservative groups, the Mennonites, and among the Mennonites and Amish, they reject the hex sign.
Party poopers.
Pagan superstition and all that stuff.
Who do pagans ever bother? Everybody hates the pagans.
That's a good question.
Who's hating on the pagans? I don't even know anything about the pagans.
Did you know there's a welcome hex sign?
Makes sense.
Yeah, it's a large red heart in the center with tulips encircling the heart. So how could that, how could that be a bad thing?
It's a devil sign.
The tree of life hex sign, which is part of our logo. Again, another Amish link. Includes a large tree as the focal point of the sign. And again, I talked about it. Stars, hearts, tulips. They're almost always.
It's like the Lucky Charm. Star, hearts, horseshoes, and red balloons. Speaking of which, I got some Lucky Charms upstairs.
Lucky Charms. A little bit more on hex signs. Some of them use them for healing.
Oh, we're getting into some witchcraft here.
To bring abundance and material goods.
This doesn't sound like Amish.
Yeah, some farmers believe hex signs could start to stop the rain. And they thought it would protect their barn from lightning. So that's enough on the Amish hex sign.
Interesting.
I guess if you're listening somewhere and you're you don't see the, you're not watching, so you can't click on the link or see what we're showing. Continuing to use the word hex sign is probably misleading. You're probably thinking of like
something
the
scary
pentagram,
looking,
like the stuff you see
with a goat's head in it.
Right.
No, this is like I don't even know what to. I mean, the one kind of looked like the little Woodstock bird.
Yeah, like a dove.
Yeah,
a dove's a big one. But they're generally circles. I mean, sometimes stars, geometric shapes, but bright colors, flowers, birds, hearts.
Once you see it, if you just look it up, you'll know exactly, and you've seen it all over.
Yeah. So let's get into the furniture a little bit more. Style versus utility is the heading I have. When we start to look at the Pennsylvania Dutch furniture, there's one thing we keep in mind, and that it's colonial furniture, made by people who moved thousands of miles and were living in a very rural and and in remote communities for the most part. So we've been talking about trends, especially with the last set of episodes, but for the Amish, it was really about, what's going to do the job, what materials are available, and how am I feeling this day? What are my individual tastes as a maker?
They were dancing to the beat of their own drum, those Amish.
They were. I mean, it's kind of like, when you made Hunter's bed, we had that cherry available. So, all right, there you go.
I made it out of maple.
That bed's not cherry?
No, it's maple.
Are you sure?
I'm positive. Because we had all that maple. We still have all that maple.
I could have sworn we made it from cherry.
No, the bed across the street's made out of cherry that you and Deadwood built.
Trying to remember.
That's like more of like an arts and crafts style bed, like a mission style bed.
Okay, the one with the dowels, that's maple?
Yeah.
I'm going to have to go upstairs and look at it.
It's solid maple.
I know. So, but point's the same.
Yeah.
We had the maple, so that was your material choice. And you went with it,
We got a lot of these number 0 biscuits. Got to get rid of them.
Well, no, we didn't. There are no biscuits in that bed.
Oh, I just got an email from Elizabeth Lewis. Meeting this afternoon? Hi there. Unhappy with expensive business phone service that's sluggish, goes down, or just overall meh? Would like to introduce my company, Function Telecom. We're cutting.
Is it Function with a K?
No. Oh my God. The spam never stops.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt.
No, that's okay. That's the modern age, isn't it? We're all tethered.
Yeah. I thought it was something important. I'm like, meeting? I'm like, I didn't know we had a meeting.
Yeah, but you got to make that bed. Basically, it was utilitarian in nature, but you did it the way you wanted to do it.
Yeah.
So it's got your stamp on it. Your fingerprints are on it. We had those dowels.
Yeah.
It was like making dinner with what was in the fridge.
Yeah. I have a bunch of footage of making that bed. I got to do something with it, but
yeah.
That's another story for another day.
But there you go. That kind of sums up how these folks were working. And it's funny how a style then develops. I guess because the community is so tight that these things sort of people can't step too far outside bounds.
Yeah, there's a limited circle of influence.
There you go. True Pennsylvania Dutch furniture was produced from 1720 to 1830. And basically by German furniture makers. They brought their German woodworking techniques with them, but they started to also incorporate techniques and styles they found in the nearby English colonies, English settlements. And I also learned that they refer to basically all outsiders as English.
Huh.
Yeah.
Just like they were getting called Dutch.
Right.
They weren't even Dutch.
The English. And
They were Deutsch.
I think to some extent they still do.
Yeah, I have heard that. You ever watch that show, like, what is it, Amish Mafia or something? Is that what they call it?
No.
Oh, my gosh. I'm pretty sure that show's all fake.
No, you know what? I did, in my reading, I did come across articles about those shows and Breaking Amish and all that stuff that I did read. And for the most part, it's the equivalent of, like, Jersey Shore.
Yeah.
Where it's, yes, there's truth in it, and those things do happen, but they're exaggerated examples.
Yeah, it's made for TV drama.
Right. Like when they came to you in the place where you were working, and what was it, the bar rescue or whatever?
Yeah, and they wanted to manufacture. They're like, so who here really bothers you? I'm like, not really anybody.
So, right. So all manufactured.
They're like, oh, yeah, no, we're not helping you guys.
All right. So the Pennsylvania Dutch furniture, as it's developing, it's got its roots in those German traditions, but it's heavily influenced by their circumstances and their new life, and goes back to basically starting over. These are folks that came from a more industrial, using that term loosely, living conditions in Europe, basically go out to the middle of nowhere.
Yeah. Pennsyltucky.
Yeah. I mean, you think it's Pennsyltucky now.
Yeah.
It was literally just trees and ground.
Yeah.
So there's that. There's their, really diving into their lifestyle. This is a whole new community based around their religious beliefs. And this all leads to the development of what we're going to call style in air quotes.
Or lack thereof.
Right. So we got a photo of a Pennsylvania Dutch chest there.
There it is.
There it is. That's the quintessential example, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a simple chest on bracketed feet, and it's painted.
Yeah, with the little those unicorns.
I don't know. Is there a horn on the top of that thing?
Certainly looks like it.
Yeah.
Doesn't a unicorn have wings?
It does.
Or is that a Pegasus?
Oh, that's a Pegasus. Yeah, but
does a Pegasus have a horn?
No, a Pegasus has wings and no horn.
What's it if it's got wings and a horn?
That I don't know. I mean, a unicorn, I think, just has a horn.
That's far less interesting
than wings and a horn?
Yeah. It's just a horse with a horn. That could just happen. I wouldn't even be all that surprised.
Yeah, if he grew up next to the power plant.
Yeah.
So how can we characterize Pennsylvania Dutch furniture? Straightforward and direct.
Yeah.
Nothing really elaborate, but,
The painting is pretty ornate.
It is. But if you compare it to, artwork that's already been done, it's almost childlike.
Yeah.
In its very naivete.
Yeah.
Straight lines, right?
In the construction.
Yeah.
Aside from the little bracket feet.
Right. Very little bits of ornamentation outside the painting, which is kind of what they're bringing to the table here.
Mm-hmm.
It's very distinctively painted. And
you think about it, to paint that versus like, let's say that was all carved.
Mm-hmm.
You're talking a fraction of the time.
That's right. Fraction. That's right. And if we think back to that original German example, the German chest, and compare it to this.
Yeah. I mean, if you ever seen on like how it's made, like things that are hand painted, like, I don't know, sometimes you see like plates or stuff like in like Eastern Europe, they'll bang something like this out in like 5 minutes.
Yeah, yeah. And the motifs are pretty repetitious. So when they did the next chest, it was similar stuff. So you're constantly maybe not repeating the exact design, but you know you're using the same vocabulary.
Yeah. I gotta say, it's cold down here.
It's getting chilly, huh?
Yeah.
I'm gonna speak to the landlord.
Yeah. What the hell? You know what it is? I closed up all the vents down here.
Oh, because it was
It was too cold in the summertime.
I put in italics. Perhaps the most definitive characteristic of Pennsylvania Dutch furniture was the way it was decorated.
Yeah.
I can agree with that. I mean, I
mean, that could be any old chest.
Right.
That
could be a flea market find, and you could sort of.
It's a real show. No, flea market flip. It's called.
Oh, okay.
You ever heard of that?
No.
Yeah, they got to go find something, and then they have to like fix it up or change it, and then sell it.
It's a contest, obviously,
against two different groups.
Yeah. So it's how it's decorated. While the other furniture in the other colonies were making furniture was polished, varnished, finished with veneers and stuff like that. You could see this is probably maple or pine, birch, painted with green, red, and then some kind of design on top. Is that the same lady looking for you now?
That's New York, New York. They're calling in from the big city.
Want to check your car warranty?
Yeah. Probably that guy that called me that one time was like, yeah, I'm looking for a table. And, head of like whatever company, New York. And then he's like, my budget's like $2,200.
Yeah, I'm in a Fortune 500 company.
Go over to Bob's Furniture. Maybe it was Elizabeth Lewis calling about the meeting that we have for telecommunications.
All right, so we touched a little bit about style, but another part of the Amish ethos, I will call it, is sustainability.
Interesting.
That's part of ours as well.
Yeah.
Building furniture with longevity, multi-generational pieces. The furniture needs to be useful. You're not going to just make something that's a design piece, a decorative piece, and not have a function.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be frivolous and could not be considered sustainable by the Amish.
Hey, 718, that's Brooklyn, isn't it?
It is. Brooklyn and Queens. Yeah. So how would you compare, because I say it's interesting to compare this Amish point of view to our now modern mainstream society's, I'm going to say, disposable nature. I mean, we struggle against that ourselves.
Yeah. It's definitely not you're seeing certain groups of people going back towards that sort of thinking, but it's definitely an uphill battle.
Mm-hmm.
This whole sort of craft movement has been going on probably since, I don't know, what do you think it started in it probably started in like the 70s or 80s.
Yeah.
But it's really just ramping up, now and getting more popular since like the mid 2000s maybe.
Yeah. The thing that I see as kind of the particular battle we're engaged in is that we make kind of, without sounding highfalutin, we kind of make high-endy furniture. It costs a lot to produce these things.
Yeah.
So the people that generally can afford it are the same people that want to throw it away in 5 years because they want something new.
Yeah. Yeah. The high end is the symptom, though, and not the, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, it's that the folks who could most utilize and value the work that we do, they haven't been able to wrap their mind around the idea of buying expensive furniture because it's not been a part of our lifestyle.
Yeah.
You know, we all grew up in the disposable furniture age, and so we have these fixed ideas of what a piece of furniture like a desk should cost.
Yeah, and other things have taken, precedence over it.
Right.
The cost of living is so much higher now than it was, so there's less money to spend on furniture.
Right.
Back in the day, you weren't paying whatever $1,000 a month per person for health insurance, so it wasn't.
The cost of housing was more in line with income.
Yeah.
But the same people will, a woman might have $1,000 purse, or several pairs of $800 shoes.
Mm-hmm.
There people. I always say people have money. It's just they have to decide what they want to spend it on.
Yeah. You want 10 pairs of shoes, or you want a coffee table?
You're going to have to sell it better than that.
Well, that's the reality of it, unfortunately.
It is.
You want to, pay for half of your new car, or you want that built-in over there?
Right.
Because that's $20,000.
But we pitch sustainability as part of our thing too. I mean, we didn't do it this year. We should probably. I'd like to maybe do it again in 2022. But we planted over 100 trees through the Arbor Day Foundation the year before, which is a nice thing.
Yeah.
We take a portion of each job and donate it to the Arbor Day to plant trees. Which was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Now we're supporting Popcorn Park Zoo.
Yeah.
The
monkeys are going to be swinging on those ropes.
That's right. I can't wait to get some pictures of that.
Yeah. You got to tell them. Put them up now. I want to see the monkeys on them right now.
Put them up now. I want to tag Arvo. Can we do that?
That guy up there did look kind of like a little...
He looked like a little chimp, didn't he?
Not as cute, though.
No, definitely not. All right, so with this idea in mind of, sustainability and usefulness, it's going to kind of set some boundaries for what types of furniture the Amish are going to be making. Remember when we talked in the past, some of the other groups, like about an important piece, and
can't be left alone.
The trestle table was a biggie, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Well, it turns out that the Pennsylvania Dutch have the sawbuck table.
I think I know what this is going to look like.
Yeah.
Yep.
There you go. And you could see the relationship. The top probably comes off, and it's an oversized table that could hold a large family, plenty of heavy German food.
Yeah.
And rather than resting on individual legs, the sawbuck tabletop sat on two X-shaped supports, giving the large table greater stability. It looks almost like a picnic table, we might call it.
Yeah.
A little bit nicer top, but it's the X brackets. And that's the cornerstone of their, kitchen. They probably worked on it, ate on it, had their meetings around it. The sawbuck table. So that was something I learned. I didn't necessarily relate that directly to the Amish.
Yeah, me neither. And I've seen that design, but never known it as a sawbuck table.
And you could see it's there's not a wasted motion or wasted piece. It's all there.
Yeah, it's about as utilitarian as it gets.
Yeah. The next thing that was pretty important was the hope chest.
Yeah, we all know the hope chest, at least I know it.
So yeah, we're getting back to chests, which in all of the early forms, yeah, that was another good example.
Yeah, that's not the hope chest I know, but man, what a grainy picture.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I couldn't find like a good image of a good example. Now, the thing that struck me about this is the primitiveness of the painting. I mean, it really is a notch or two down from the last example we were looking at.
Just get a voicemail. Hey, I sent a thing for your website. I didn't get a response. I responded to your email. Yeah, this, to me, it almost looks Greek.
Yeah. What are those, maybe urns?
These things down
here. Yeah. That's pretty cool. What's the next one look like? Wow, so we're seeing some blacks.
Yeah.
And those are camels.
Johann Miller.
Yeah, so he definitely came, and we'll get into this later on, from the Sao Paulo School of Furniture Making. And the reason I know that now is because he put his name on it.
That's something that they did.
Only the folks from the Sao Paulo School. This was another thing when we get on the episode of well-known furniture makers. they worked in anonymity. It's like trying to find anybody that would take credit for any of those things. Oh, the spice can. Well, we're still with the hope chest. So I've got here, a Pennsylvania Dutch home was not complete without a brightly colored hope chest. They'd put their fine linens, if they had any, and it was usually for the dowry of a young woman.
Right.
Pennsylvania German furniture makers made a trademark out of their hand-painted hope or dowry chests. So that was their thing, you'd make it so you could be identified by your particular style and your take on it.
Well,
hope chests were customarily painted blue. Although the two examples we have there, they seem to be darker than that. Maybe they've darkened with age. And here's something to reinforce what you thought earlier. And painted with a variety of decorative accents such as vases of flowers, tulips, stars, birds, angels, and unicorns.
Who knew?
I had no idea.
Is the unicorn like a German?
I don't know. That's pretty interesting, though. And that really nice piece, the spice cabinet, where you could see it's like, got a clear finish on the wood and everything. That was really for the upper crust, if there was. The 18th century spice cabinet is the ultimate form of Pennsylvania furniture. The concept, originally from Holland, came to America via England. Only the most prosperous families could afford these miniature case pieces, which house expensive spices for medicine and cooking, as well as small valuables.
I was going to say, just having spices was
right.
highfalutin.
I mean, look at that.
Yeah, that's some serious veneer work.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
And people didn't place their spice cabinets in their kitchens as they do today, but rather in their parlors where they'd harmonize with the other furnishings. Many'd have a series of small drawers hidden behind a door and a secret drawer behind them, or a drawer hidden beneath the molding. So we've come across stuff like that from other builders.
Yep.
The secret drawer. What about the deacon's bench? Ah, there we go. That's
got some Pennsylvania Dutch.
Yeah, that's screaming it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Although of a more modern era, the deacon's bench is a good example of Amish design and practice. Very practical and straightforward, straight back and seat, dovetail joinery in lieu of mechanical fasteners, and very simple curves for embellishment. There you go. That screams, very simple, plain Amish, as they're called.
Yeah.
That's what it was. It's plain Amish and fancy Amish. Refers to the people as far as, more lenient or strict.
Right.
Do I have a picture of the dough box? There you go.
Look at that.
The dough box. The primary function of the dough box was to serve as a trough to store rising bread dough.
A proofing box.
That's right. Made primarily in Pennsylvania from 1700 to 1840, it had a single or multiple board top with cleats at each end that often slid into dovetail slots. And the top was used as a work surface to knead the dough. And then, of course, you'd proof the dough below.
Well.
So it looks like, that's definitely a kitchen item.
Oh, yeah. This is looking pretty Amish, too.
Yeah, yeah. I love the single board tops on these old pieces.
Yeah, it looks like there's a one glue joint.
Right.
Right there.
Mm-hmm.
Even so, big wide boards. This front looks like one piece, though.
Yeah.
Maybe a glue joint right there.
That's a nice looking piece. I mean, you could put something like that in your house today and it wouldn't really look out of place.
No. This is like something, you see at an antique store.
And, they painted and decorated them at times, but probably the ones that, needed to get right into service, nothing, just
straight pine.
That's right. Straight pine, no finish, no chaser. Straight, no chaser. The last picture I have is of the Pennsylvania style chest cupboard.
That's pretty fancy.
It is, and that you could see is somewhat
the spring angle on this.
Yeah, related to that first German case. Right? Are those inlays there on the doors, or are those carvings? It's hard to tell.
Looks like marquetry almost. Or, no, it might be paint.
Yeah.
These are carvings, these little corner pieces.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
So, but all in all, it's a storage unit. And it was known as a Kas, K-A-S, from the German Kasten, meaning cupboard, or Schrank, as it was known in German. Schrank. So it's a large wardrobe, had an upper section, might have shelves, over 1 and 2 or 3 drawers.
Yeah.
It wasn't unusual for a piece like this to be 7 or 8 feet tall and 7.5 feet wide.
Jeez.
25 to 30 inches deep.
It's like raising a barn.
Really? So this really is a clothes closet.
It is a shrunk.
Yeah. Shrunk.
Honey, I shrunk the kids.
Cabinet makers outfitted these large cases with removable pins and wedges so they could be completely taken apart for transportation or to fit through doorways.
Smart.
That's amazing.
It's like going up to the Hoboken 8th floor.
Right. But I mean, that's a nice piece. Could you imagine building it in a way that you could take it apart?
Yeah. A lot going on.
Yeah. That's almost in line with our coffee bar, our coffee shrunk.
Yeah. Oh gosh, that job's still not done.
It's sitting in the foyer still
no,
at that
we still
house.
haven't even gotten final payment on that because I don't have the heart to ask for it.
So that wraps up our origins of Pennsylvania Dutch furniture episode.
Yeah. Wow. Interesting stuff. More going on with the Amish than I was expecting.
Yeah, that's usually the case, isn't it?
Yeah.
We got a couple more things to dive into with the PA Dutch, but I think in series, this is series 9 through or 10 through 13, 14 on when we go into federal, we're going to start getting into furniture styles that people are a little bit more familiar with.
Yeah, and maybe a little more
be less historical in nature as far as like the background. There's only so much we could get into with these
because it's so simple.
Yeah. But I mean, how do you think what kind of influences you think their furniture made by these folks has on us, or in general the people like us?
Well, I don't know about us. I'd say furniture in general. I think this sort of farmhouse look definitely pulls from this simple Amish, flat with the. I mean, I feel like in like the 90s, you saw a ton of that Amish style, very flat pine furniture with the fretwork on it and stuff, or maybe
those big curves on the arms.
Maybe fretwork isn't the right term, but yeah, those big round curves and stuff like that.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it definitely was borrowed, we'll say. I don't think they gave it credit as Amish. But
yeah, people just think of it as like a country furniture,
Yeah, that's a good point. That I would say that the most recent fad of country style furniture is a direct lift from those early Amish pieces.
Yeah.
What about their not their aesthetic, but like their ethics, their work ethics? You think any of that's bled through?
Yeah, but you can't attribute it to them, I think, specifically, because really every furniture maker was preaching the same thing.
Right.
That's a modern thing where the idea of something being a temporary kind of piece came about.
Right, when you have wealthy patrons, you're not worried. You're more worried about selling them something again.
Well, even the Newport furniture makers who were making stuff for these mercantile class clients, they were building that stuff to last 200 years.
Yeah.
They just because those people were rich, they weren't making it to fall apart.
Excellent point.
So I think that's been the goal forever, but in the last, let's say, 150 years is when you saw a disposable mindset sort of coming into play.
Right.
It's just a product of consumerism and businesses trying to make more money because they need to. You can't sell furniture if people don't need to buy new furniture, like cars. Why do you think they come out with a new car every year?
Yeah, that's a really good example. I remember when I was studying history, I took a class in 20th century American history, and it dealt with the advertising age and the modern auto industry. It was fascinating because to read documents where you see the light bulb go on in somebody's head at like General Motors that said, hey man, we're not going to make it if we just sell one car every 10 years. We got to sell people a car every 3, 4, 5 years.
Yep.
And we're going to base our whole model on that. And it's like, wow, they could make things that lasted.
Yeah.
And they could have been doing it for 60, 70 years.
Look
They
at the
just
light
chose
bulb in
not
California that's been going
Yes.
since 1909 or something.
to. Everybody does it.
Yeah.
Light bulbs, cars, furniture.
Phones, computers,
Mm-hmm.
everything.
Oh, yeah, the phones.
Tools.
Don't get me started on that phone.
Yeah.
You know, Apple, they got sued successfully for putting a shortened lifespan on their stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Now they're getting hit with the right to repair.
Yeah,
So you'll be able to repair your own phone.
that's cool.
Well, that's all we got for you this week, folks.
Yeah, you probably got your fill of the Amish by now.
Yeah, well, you
Either that-
better buckle up. You got 2 more episodes.
You're going to go looking for a shoe fly pie now.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's coming up. Don't you worry.
Don't forget. Calavera 10, save you 10% at Calavera Tools.
Vesting.
Vesting finishes, 10% off American Craftsmen at rpmcoatingsolutions.com. You know the Montana. American Craftsman, 10% off Montana. And,
We're giving it away.
yeah. That's what
It's
we
all
got.
good stuff. Everybody take care. Hope you had good Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
And Christmas is coming.
Pretty soon. All right, we'll see you next week.